What is going on, guys? This is your boy Dean here again, and this is my third attempt at actually doing this video. Audio troubles, video troubles, we've had it all. But this will be my final take. So, okay, let's get to it. I am giving you guys my favorite deck this format. That's right, it's Swordcraft, and I almost brought this to the Grand Showdown. So this is a deck and a build that I do believe in, but clearly I don't believe in enough, or else you guys wouldn't be seeing this today. And I'm going to be really going over the card by card, and I'm going to go over the matchups a little bit, and then I'm going to go over some of the cards I don't play, because I know some people are Sword gamers, and why I don't really like their build, but I like this one. So, first up, we have 1, 2, 3 goblins is 3 ofs. That's right, that's all these things are. Ironrod Defender, Perseus, and Servant of Usurpation are all 2/2s at base. However, they all have additional effects as the game goes on. This guy is heroic, very important for being able to notice with our Mock Knight. And then also just because we got the little heroic package, he can be a 2/3 ward in the late game if he has to be. 3/3 Perseus becomes if there's 3 other guys on the board when he's played, or if he comes out via a courtly dance. It's going to be just a lot of stats. Just the extra stats on the board is always what we want, because the last thing we want is just a ninja trainee or a goblin, right? Servant of Usurpation can snowball out of control. So this thing says 2/2. It says 1/2, but it actually says 2/2. And then as the game goes on, it can become a very huge threat to your opponent. Has to be answered immediately. Sometimes it can deal upwards of 4 damage if our opponent does not respect it. We're on 2 swordsmen. Why? It taps down our opponent's cards. Very good. It's just the next one drop in the slot. But being able to deal with cards like Archer, and then Agnes and some other cards that our opponent might, just put on the board, and hopefully being able to clear them up before they become problematic for us is our goal. 1 Kagamitsu. This card takes forever to get online, so he's a stat ball in the late game, hopefully when we see him. But don't expect him to be good until turns 5 or 6. Maybe even later, because we need a lot of setup with him. He gets +1/+1 for every card face up in our Evo deck, which means that it doesn't count the ones on our board. Only the ones that have died. And then he gets Rush, and he has some other effects. He gets a Sail at 3, which is why we need him to be at least a 4/4 before he does anything. And until then, he's just kind of shit. 3 Fina. This card is necessary. It's our only non-Swordcraft card. The reason we're playing it is because when we go second into something like Egg or another Aggro mirror, we want to be able to pop their card and then continue our aggression. It also just top checks 5, so if we're going first, we can keep up the aggression. It's the flexibility that really is why Fina is a mainstay in the deck. It's a fantastic card. 3 Ralmias. Ralmia, I always play 2 of the Evo. I gave her a little bit of shit in the set review. Boards do stick sometimes, and when they do, she is a nuclear bomb, and then paired with the courtly dance, and when we see her off the top, actually insane. It's not that we need good boards to live, we just need shitters. We need like a 1/1 to stick off of this, paired with a 1/1 in our hand into this, and then we're able to get some damage going. Very nice card. I actually love it a lot. But yeah, we're playing 3/2 there. And then we're playing 3 Octresses and then 2 of the Evo. Octress on play, we're milling 2 cards of our opponent's deck. It has an effect that we'll never use that says 8. More importantly, though, when we evolve her for 0, as long as our opponent has 10 cards engraved, which Kuon will be doing for us, and Abyss might be as well, we're going to be able to steal cards from our opponent's grave, regardless on evolve. But if they have 10 cards engraved after we steal, so if they had 11 engraved, basically, we're going to be able to play our cards from our EX area for 2 less. This is very powerful, stealing cards like Insetsu, then they make the Foxes, and then we're able to bring up the Foxes, and then have wards, protecting our cards, and then the wards... it's just all around good. We're able to steal cards like Merlin, search Courtly Dance, search Heroic Entry. Very powerful. Lysina, move up the amulets. The things you can do with it are all very powerful. I would not cut Octress from a sword deck at this point in time. I'm on a 1/1 split. This one is a little controversial because I think this one is the least... I think this is the most poorly performing package in the entire deck right now. This is definitely what I'm looking to cut. Probably. 1 Valiant Fencer, 1 Amuro. The idea is sometimes you have the hands that don't have the gas, and when you get into those hands, you can Gem Staff or waste a search, or maybe see it off the Heroic Entry. There's a lot of ways to see this card, and then you just go for the big board one time, and hope that that big board sticks, because if you already ran out of gas, it's really just like your only hope, but it's a searchable hope. So that's why we kind of keep it versus cards like Jerry, which we can't search, and that are equally as fringe for our gameplay. 3 heroic entry. This is just a top check 4 to hope that you find a card that would be good in your hand. If you have literally any other play in hand, it's probably better than raw dropping the heroic entry, I found. If you have a Mock Knight in hand, it's better to just drop him raw than it is a heroic entry, because the heroic entry is going to find you 3 1-drops, and then you're going to cry. Just how it is. This card is okay, and it's not bad. It's not good. 3 Mock Knight. It's our form of removal. Being able to ping, we're playing 2 of the Evo. Being able to ping 2 or ping 4, depending on what state of the game we're in. And then if it gets hit off of the Courtly Dance or off of the heroic entry, he is a 3/3 or 4/4 with Storm. And then we can also recur him with the Amuro for additional Storm as well. Card is okay. I can understand why some people don't play him. I can still understand why some people do. It's okay. 3 Floral Fencers. This card, because of this card, I think you want to go second in a Kuon. I'm not 100% certain on that one. You deny them the draw, but more importantly, if you Evo this thing on 3, they can't Cursecraft or clear it until 5. So hopefully, you know, at least like 1 or 2 of the tokens will stick, and then you'll be able to follow up with the Ralmia and actually get the W. It's been around forever. No real reason to talk about it too much. 3 Disciple of Usurpation, 3/2 Storm. On attack, we mill the top card of our opponent's deck, comboing with cards like this, and then, of course, Octress as well. They're all part of the same Thief package. If our opponent has 10 cards in grave, it is a 5/2 Storm, just being able to get absolutely massive Storm damage in the mid to late game off cards like Heroic Entry, Courtly Dance, you know, anything that we can get multiples of these out, or maybe just multiples in our hand, slam it down, 10 damage out of nowhere, our opponent dies. That's our goal. Overstated Storm card, better Novice Trooper. It is pretty good. Double Gemstaff Commander. This card is pretty shit, but it is okay. It finds us the cards that we need at a hefty cost with a stat line that says it's probably not going to live. But, you know, if you're going first and you go like 1-drop Fina this, you're feeling pretty good. You still got a hand and you've still got options to play with, so that's good. However, you're going second, it's very hard to find a turn that you want to be like curving this thing out on. Maybe like 5, this plus like a Ralmia plus something that had lived. Swing Ralmia, like if like Floral Fencer, you know, like a Knight. They kill the Floral Fencer, you got the Knight and you got the 2/2 left. So then you Gemstaff, Ralmia, then you still have 4 guys, so you can stick 7 damage maybe. There's lines where this thing can curve out, and then it's like an okay hit off of this, and it's... when you hit it off of the heroic entry, it feels ass, but it is what it is. And of course, we're playing 3 Courtly Dance. We brought it up a lot. We're going to be top checking 5 for 7 mana worth of cards, and hopefully those 7 mana worth of cards is going to delete our opponent out of the game. At least that's the hope. Very high variance, but it is the payoff for our deck, and it is a very aggressive card that allows us, like, right, we're able to play super aggressive throughout the rest of the game, and then we just play this after our opponent's like dealt with our stuff. Normally they would be like, okay, I've dealt with this stuff. He's got like a 2-card hand, 3-card hand, and I'm like out of the water. And then you go, boom, here we go. I got 4 dudes back. Fantastic card. When it hits, even when it doesn't, it's usually not the worst. It's usually not the worst. I've had some like 5 1-drops or like I've had some horrific top checks, but that's card games. Card games. So matchups, right? It's like, well, why were you even looking at this thing? Sword's not on the tier list, or if it was, it's like tier 2. This deck is fast and it has mid-range capabilities. That's why I like it compared to decks like Abyss. Abyss, once it goes like Argave says like 8 mana or something fake on it. And the natural card draw of Abyss is like much lower than this, because we have cards like Gemstaff and then we have the heroic entries for like consistency. So I think this is just like a more consistent version of like what Abyss is doing. Yes, we do have to actually hit face versus burn damage, but I think that the trade-off is far better. This is a far more consistent deck. Into decks like Amataz, we don't give them the time that they need to fix their bad hands, because Amataz, when it whiffs the 1-drop, becomes a very slow deck, and it needs decks like Kuon that don't have a definitive win condition until turn 7 to basically give it a turn or 2 to breathe, while it tries to fix its curve, and it's very slow during that time, and then it might be able to combo back up on turn 6 or 7. Against this deck, it's already dead. It messed up. It's over. Into Standard Kuon, which I think that Standard Kuon is going to be like the Penguin variant that got the top 8 at the event. You know, the Kuons that are just doing their own thing. Whether it be Sorcery Cache, Chain of Calling, anything where they're like actually just, you know, trying to accelerate their spell chain in some way, shape, or form and like play the game. That deck cannot handle the like large amount of bodies we put on the board at a rapid pace until their Curse Crafter turn, and as long as we can stick a little bit of damage before then and then follow up with like a lot of the storm damage, because like right, the Curse Crafter deals with the cards that we just established. Now we, you know, put down some storm damage, and then they have to spend some like a turn dealing with the cards that we just established again, and then we're hopefully able to like, you know, seal the deal with the Courtly Dance for the second turn of storm damage. So Kuon is beatable. Even Control Abyss, surprisingly, is not unwinnable because we have storm damage that then forces them to use removal that's usually not paired into the hand rip, because when they're using removal, they're not hand ripping you. And then you're just able to keep up the pressure, and then hopefully use a card like Octress to cinch, like steal like one of their key pieces. Like maybe they're on the Death's Breath package, and you're able to steal an Israfil and prevent them from Death's Breathing it, or be able to steal a Gensetsu, and then maybe set up the wards to protect your board. So you've got some plays there. But then the problem is Egg. Egg is rough. It's a coin flip, it feels like, but it's a coin flip where it's a weighted coin, so they're very heavily favored into you. And then the other matchup would be Floathaven. I think Floathaven's pretty good. You probably lose that as well. Hunter Forest, if they open Archer, yeah, we got 2 swordsmen. Let me tell you, you're not opening those 2 swordsmen. So Hunter Forest, if they're on the Archer, it's probably going to be cleaning you up quite a bit in the early game. And then from there, it's going to become really rough. Because they also have like more removal than Amataz, and they also are more willing to put cards on the board than Amataz. Like if Amataz opens Archer, they're not going to be putting down like 4 dudes the next turn. Hunter Forest might. Just how it is. And then there's also the Kuon decks that I don't think will be winning Grand Showdown, but I think that people might bring, and that's the decks with like triple Agneses, and the decks that are like heavily over-teched for aggro. I've seen a couple people build their decks that way. Their decks are a lot slower, and the matchups have felt unwinnable whenever those cards were present. So, you know, the problem is if I bring this deck to the Grand Showdown, you lose round 1, and then you start to see the people who, you know, overtech for aggro and then fought actual Kuon, or they fought actual Amataz, and you're suddenly fighting them. Well, they just got a free win, and I really don't like that part of the deck. And now, yeah, so that's really my thoughts on the matchups, and ultimately why I'm not going to bring it. The next thing is, what cards are you not playing and why? Because I think that some people are going to be like, oh, why don't you play this? Why don't you play this in Sword? Okay. Number 1, why are you not on triple Kagamitsu? Kagamitsu takes 5 to 6 turns to get online. It is not an actual 1-drop. It is a card that says if you're an overflow. It is almost the way it reads until you've evolved at least 3 times and had those cards die. It is not very good. Afterwards it is, but I don't see a package that consistently supports that, and because of that, I don't like the card that much. Armor the Stars. I do not like unsearchable cards in my deck that I don't know what you're supposed to pair them with. I see people play Armor the Stars as a 3 of. I don't know what it's supposed to do. It sounds a little ignorant. Like, you can pair it with cards, but on the mana curves where you can pair it with the cards that matter, you probably are getting cleaned up by a Crimson Meteor Storm or something else, or you're just dead. And I don't know what your Armor of the Starsing that's going to win you the game at any stage of the game. That's just my thought. There's not a single deck that I think, wow, if I Armor the Stars of this card on like this turn, it wins me the game. Mars. I could almost see Mars. These cards, these 2 guys suck. We could just replace it with Mars. I'm not horribly offended by that thought at this point. I just don't really like Mars. I think the card is like pretty overcosted for what it does. It doesn't give us a whole lot of stats, but I've also seen it like summon this guy so that Mach Knight doesn't suck. And at this point, I've had a couple games where Mach Knight has sucked a lot, and I really wish that he didn't. So maybe Mars would be okay. Evo's for 0. Maybe it's the missing piece of the sauce that I need. You got me there. The other card is Quick Draw Maven. That card sucks. I've played with it. It's good at times. At times you go, wow, this wasn't that bad. And then other times you're like, I can't believe my removal requires me to go to a 2-card hand. Obviously, we're not going to be playing that. And then it's an aggro deck. So some people, they might want to see Jerry in the deck. Jerry sucks. He's unsearchable unless you play Maid Leader, who sucks. And I want like a comeback mechanic in my deck, or something in my deck that actually isn't terrible. So Gem Staff into Valiant Fencer, into Search Amuro to rebuild a board on turn 6 or 7. Either that's winning us the game or it's not. Is the game that far gone at that point? Who knows? That's like really the big thing about this guy, is that sometimes he's able to build a big board out of nowhere. Maybe like as early as turn 5 if we go turn 6, I guess. It's really why we're playing him. But yeah, that's it for this video. I think I've kind of gone over the cards that you would expect to see in this deck and why you wouldn't. And yeah, try this deck out. Let me know what you guys think. I've personally really liked it, and I'm probably going to bring it to the Grand Showdown. I'll be playing Friendlies with it after round 4 when I'm already 1-3. So see you guys then, and until next time, it's your boy Dean signing out.